Hey there, welcome to another video by Bench Coder. So this is continuation of my previous video where I created a sticky navigation bar, and you can see we have a sticky navigation bar. If you haven't seen that video, make sure you go back and check that video out so that you are aware what is happening in this tutorial. We'll be using some of the code from previous video. I'll be linking that video in the description, and if you have any doubt, you can leave in the comment box below. Okay, so in the previous video we ended up with this navbar which is responsive as well. So now we are going to style the remaining part, which is this heading and the link and the lower navigation, and then we have this a basic video part. We'll be using an image placeholder for now. So let's start. First, let's just create a HTML for this, and then we'll start with the styling. So this is our previous code which we had with us, which we created in the last video. Now we'll be moving forward. So this is the HTML inside header wrapper. So header wrapper, this is the header wrapper, this is our navigation part. So this whole highlighted part is the navigation bar, and then below this we'll be having our header content. Okay, so now let's just start coding the HTML. So let's just see the design. So as you can see, we have a big heading. I'll be using h1 for this, and then we have a basic description here. I'll be using paragraph, and then we have a link tag. So I'll be creating a href here, a tag here, and then we have this video section, and then we have this small navigation as well. So let's just start creating this. First, let's just create the main hero section wrapper. I'll be using Emmet again to create the HTML. So this is going to be header section wrapper, and in the wrapper we have h1, and let's see the text. Brilliant in every way. Okay, and then we have a p tag. Okay, I forgot to add the container here. I need a container as well. So hero container. Okay, so inside hero container we have h1 as well as, let's just encapsulate this. Okay, so everything inside hero container will be in this parenthesis. So this is our paragraph text. Let's just add some sample text here. Placeholder text. Okay, so this is our placeholder text. Now we have to have a button here. So I'll just add a div just in case, called button wrapper, and then we'll be having a tag with class main btn, and then that's for main button. So we have learn more text in this. So let's just expand and see. So we have a hero section, hero container, then we have a heading. Okay, and then we have the p tag, and then we have the btn wrapper, and inside this we have a tag which will be our button, which we can see in our design. So this is done. Now let's start with the lower navigation part, and then we'll start create this video section. So let's just create a comment for lower nav. Okay, let me just indent this first. So I'll give this a class of lower nav wrapper, and in lower nav wrapper, as you can see, we have these li. I'll be creating this as well, li as well, but I'll be giving this a much more margin than other li's. So give this a class of lower nav, and since it has to be a list, so let's just make it a ul, and we have 4, right? So let's just create li's and placeholder, and then we need 4, right? let's just create it. So we have a lower nav wrapper, so this will be our lower nav, and I'll be making this a position absolute. Why? Because I just want let's just make this a position fixed as well for the desktop. Why? Because our navigation is fixed, so we can just fix this lower nav bar as well, and we'll be fixing this video preview as well. So let's just make sure our HTML is correct. Lower nav wrapper, so it's for this whole div, and then we have a lower nav. Inside this we have this text, so let's just make sure our text is fine. So we have 1 by 0. Okay, we can just ignore this actually. This is some additional div which we had, so let's just ignore this and let's just shift this nav to here. So we'll be shifting Facebook to the leftmost corner, similar to what we did with this Apple logo. So we'll be having Facebook, what we have, Instagram, Twitter, and let's say dribble. Okay, so this is going to be our navigation. This is part of a slider which we had in this design, but I'm ignoring that. So right now we'll be shifting this to this, and let's create HTML for this now. So this is going to be our video preview section. So let's just create a video preview section. This is the command. So video preview wrapper, and inside this wrapper I'm using image for now as a placeholder, and I've already copied this image called video.png, so I'll be using that. Now everything in this design has to be responsive. First we'll create the design for the desktop, and then we'll shift to the our mobile responsive part. So our navigation part is already done. Let's see how it's looking in the design. Converted design. Let me just bring back the refresh part so that I don't have to refresh it again and again. Okay, so as you can see, this top part is fixed, so our text is going on to the top, and if you want to see the current CSS, it's here. Okay, so these are the media queries, so I'll be doing my further code here. So any code which is above this is for so this is my previous code for the navigation part, and this will be my current code for the header part, and this is the media query, so we have to put all our media queries here only. So these are the previous queries from our last tutorial. So let's just start styling our hero section wrapper. Okay, so as you can see, this section is not coming up nicely. So I already created a container class which is of 80% width. Let's just see the design first. So you might notice that brilliant in every way is less in width compared to other navigations. Navigation are supposed to be 100% in the header and the footer, but this center content, it needs to be in the center, and it has to have a fixed width. So I'll be using my container class here. I have defined a max width 1200 pixels and width 80% here. So let's just give this hero section. So let's just inherit my class. You probably don't know the inherit part, so let's just use container class here. Okay, so this is our header text. It's coming in the center now, so we have to give it some padding. So let's start with hero section wrapper. hero section wrapper. Now you can see we have a lot of padding here, so let's just see what's the padding. It's somewhere around 300 pixels, so let's just give it a padding of 300 pixels for the top, bottom and left, right. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so yeah, this is aligned pretty okay according to me, and we have the h1 inside this. So now we have to style the heading. So let's just measure the font size. Since this is just a png file, so I have to use my ruler tool, and as you can see, this is 58 pixels. I'll be using 64 pixels as the height for this. So we have h1 inside hero section, so let's just give it a font size of 64 pixels and see how it looks. But the font is not looking similar to what we have in this design, so I'm using a different font called Righteous. Let's just copy this and paste it here and see. Yeah, so now you can see it's looking something similar to what we have here, so we can just make sure that this is looking nice. And now you might notice that brilliant in every way is coming in one line, which we don't want. So let's just give this a max width of 300 pixels and see what happens here. Okay, let's just increase this to, let's just describe it in percentages, I guess. So okay, as you can see, we have dots here, so let's just define, let's just change these two headings and shift from h1, because we have to use 2h1, we can't use 2h1 in our page. So we can, but that's probably going to throw a HTML syntax error in the validation part. So I need it on the both the classes, so let's just give these classes of heading. So we are changing our h1s to class heading and our div, so let's just give this a class of heading. So now what we can do is we can just, instead of giving any max width or anything, we can just create two rows. So brilliant, and this is going to start in April. Let's see, why is it being ignored? Okay, so I missed CSS here. So now you can see we have something similar to what we had here, but our font weight doesn't look similar to what we have in this design, right? This is good enough in my opinion. So now we have no other phone like iPhone in the placeholder text, so let's style our placeholder. Okay, so placeholder is a paragraph tag, so I'll just remove any margins if it's there and define a padding. Let's just make sure there is any padding. Yeah, you can see there is some padding, so we'll be defining 15 pixels as padding for this. And font color, it's a gray color which we are using in two places, here and here. I have already copied it beforehand. You can see it's text gray color, so I'll be using this text gray color, and the color is 5b 5b 5b, so I'll be using this color. So it's text gray color. So CSS is coming over here, you can see that. So this is my text color, hero section wrapper P, and let's see how it's coming along. Now text is looking fine, but color didn't took place, right? And why is that? Because we defined it as font color. I made a mistake. Okay, now text is looking fine, but it has to be bold. Font weight bold. this left padding is not looking good, so I'm going to remove left right padding. Let's just keep the top paddings. Yeah, so this is much better in my opinion, and I think that's fine for now. And then let's style the learn more button. So since we have the BTN wrapper, so we'll target BTN wrapper, and inside that we have a tag, and in this a tag we want this to act as a display inline block, because our styling won't work otherwise. And let's see the font face. Yeah, it's normal font face. So font weight, it's going to be bold, and color, it's going to be the black color which we are using. So let's just use the BG color. That's basically #000, and that is black. And we want padding on the top, bottom, and left right corners. So as you can see, padding is pretty high, somewhere around 25 pixels, 25, and this is somewhere around 40. So let's just use 20 pixels and 40 pixels for left right paddings, and border radius to something like 20 pixels, and let's see what happens here. Yeah, I forgot to define the background. Define the white background. Let's just increase the border radius to 40 pixels. Yeah, so now it's looking fine. Let's just remove the text decoration as well. Yeah, so now it's looking something similar to what we have in our design, but in our design the padding is a bit less, so let's just decrease this to 15 pixels. Yeah, so now it's looking what we have in our design. Yeah, so I think I should increase the font size of our heading, so let's just change this to 72 pixels and see. Maybe a bit more, I think. Yeah, this is fine. Alright, so now we have a bottom navigation and the video preview section which we have to style. So our hero section is done for now, and then let's come to the lower nav part. So our lower nav, it's going to be position fixed again, something similar to what we have on our top part, top nav bar, something similar to what we have in our top nav bar, and same thing, we'll be having a fixed positioned our lower nav as well. So we have a lower nav wrapper. Let's just give it a top, bottom, left right padding similar to what we had over here. So 30 pixels should be fine, and we have a separate color in this, that is text gray. Let's just see text gray color, that is 5B, 5B, 5B. Okay, so where is our nav bar? We are not targeting it right now. Yeah, again I misspelled this. Yeah, this is coming along nicely, and now we'll be styling the UL, so that is lower nav. In lower nav we are going to make our LIs inline, display inline block, and let's just give them top bottom padding to 0 and left right padding to 20 pixels. And on the first LI we don't want any LI first of type, we don't want any padding left. Why? Because it won't look nice. Let's just see how it looks with that padding. Yeah, so as you can see, this is at least 15 pixels off from this icon. So once we add the remove our left padding from this, from the first element of the li, it should be just fine. Yeah, so now you can see that this is aligned properly with our Apple logo and this is coming along nicely. Yeah, I forgot to add position fixed in this, so let's just add position fixed. Okay, now since this is going to be a position fixed and it has to come on top of everything, so now let's just keep it like this. So now it's hidden by this. Let's just make sure it's there. Let's just do display none and see. Okay, since I have done position fixed, I forgot to add bottom 0 and left 0. So now this should come along properly. So now you can see it's coming over here. Again, I would like to add some background to this. So let's just add same background which we added on our Navbar. 0,0,0.05. Also to note that I added position fixed over to our Navbar, but I forgot to add top 0 and left. By default it's defined as top 0 and left 0, but still it's better to have a fixed value so that some other defaults or some other CSS is not overriding that. So that was the mistake I made in last video and it should be fixed now. So now we have this background as well. So let's just make it a bit darker because the overall background is a bit dark. Yeah, so this is looking fine. Now we have to style this video section. So how about styling that? Lower nav wrapper is done. So lower nav is done. Let's just minimize this. Let's just minimize this as well. So now we have to style this simple video preview section. So let's just measure the height of this and width of this. So it is 340 in width approximately and 220 in height. So this is video wrapper, right? So let's just type video wrap preview wrapper and let's just give it a fixed width of 340 pixels and height of 220 pixels. And again, let's just give this a position fixed, but this time we want it on the right. So bottom will remain 0 and right will be 30 pixels so that we have consistency in our design. I made a mistake. Yeah, so okay, so now you can see it's coming over here. Yeah, so let's just make sure our design is looking proper in every resolution. Yeah, it's looking fine, and I think we have achieved something similar to what we had in our PSD. So we have our navbar is already done. Now we have our middle section with the text and the link icon, and then we have our lower navigation and this button. Let's just add a cursor pointer to video preview. Also let's just ensure that our image will always be of width 100% of the preview wrapper, just in case if the image is bigger if you're using somewhere else. And let's just give it a display block. It won't change the appearance, but it will make sure that any image which you place there is always of 100% width. And let's just give it a margin auto so that it's always in the center of the preview. Yeah, so it's something similar to which is already there in this design. Yeah, so let's just increase the bottom as we are using this. Let's just increase it to 30 pixels. So so it will be more consistent. Negative 30 pixels actually. Yeah, so now it's looking something similar to what we have in our design. As you can see, it's matching along nicely over here. So let's just make sure it's responsive or not. Okay, so this is our 1440 pixels. It's looking pretty okay in my opinion, and yeah, it's okay up till this point as well. So no need to change any style up till 992 or 100 this. Okay, so let's just change the style after 992. Okay, so these are our old media queries, so I won't be touching them. Let's just shift these media queries to the top. So this is our old code, and this is for our new header section. So add media, now since you can see we are having an issue on this bottom preview section, so we'll be using 992 max width, 992 max width 992 and max width 992, and we'll be hiding this after this point. So video preview wrapper, display none. Okay, so now you can see it's looking okay. So now what I have to do is what I want to this will be looking nice up till 700 or something. So after 720 we made a navigation to be a fixed navigation, so same thing we'll be doing here. Add media, max width 720. So after 720 pixel width, we are going to make our header section as, let's just so as you might remember, we have added a top and bottom padding to the header content. So let's just decrease that and decrease that to 100 pixels. Hero section wrapper. So we added a padding top and bottom to this section. We'll be removing that and changing that to 100 pixels, and let's see what happens here. Yeah, so now you can see it's coming over here like this. It's not that good. Let's just improve our changes here. As you can see, the padding is too much in my opinion, so in the navbar. So let's just make this padding something along the lines of 10 pixels for the small resolutions, or maybe 15 pixels just to maintain the usability of these. So 15 pixels is fine in my opinion, and this is looking okay. And again we are having an issue with the A tag, so we have so extra padding left on nav link. So let's just remove that and make sure that there is no padding left. Now it's coming in center. Okay, now it's coming over here. Now we have to change this Facebook, Instagram, Twitter dribble. Now I want this to be in center, so let's just make our lower nav and give it a text line center. Why It's not happening. I forgot to add width 100% to our lower nav. Let's just make a lower nav with 100%. So now this is coming along nicely. Let's just see. Up till 440 it's okay. Let's just make sure that there is no left right. Okay, let's just decrease our left right padding to something like 40 pixels and decrease its font size. Heading in the hero section, let's just decrease its font size. It's too much for mobile designs. Let's just change that to 48 pixels. That should look okay in my opinion. Yeah, it's looking fine. Maybe let's just decrease this to 36 so that we have both of these on the, yeah, so now it's looking properly. And maybe we should just change this background to 100%. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so on header wrapper for 720 pixels, for 992 let's just do for 992, let's just do for 772. So our background is in header wrapper, so we'll be styling our header wrapper. And on our background we have to change our background size. Why? Because we can't see the background image, we can see only a slight part of the image. Let's just see how it looks. Yeah, let's just change background repeat to no repeat. It's not looking good, so let's see 50%. It's not that as well. Let's just keep this as cover for now. Okay, so this is the design which we ended up after our coding. So this is above 440, it's going to remain like this only, and below 440, and this is our 720. So let's just make sure it's something similar to what we had in our design. So we have a navigation and we converted this to a sticky navigation, plus we have now a sticky bottom nav bar, and then we have a preview video, and then we have a brilliant in every way and this middle section. So we have the nav bar, center section, we have the lower nav bar, and the preview video. Alright, so that's all for today, and I'll see you in next video.